The work we did at SRI involved things like finding a downed Russian airplane in North Africa with code books on it, locating a secret weapon.
15 drawings were placed in double-sealed envelopes in a safe, for which none of the
odds are 99 to 1.
Third Eye Spies. The more you try to hide something, the more it shines in psychic space. And with that, we have remote viewing. Russell Targ is a physicist who can now talk about this because it's been declassified. It was classified for the past 30 plus years. Recently, we can talk about it. There's been 70,000 documents that have been released to the public. We paid for this crap with our own damn money, so we should be able to see it, read it, use it. That's what I'm doing. Pat Price was their best viewer, the Stargate program, but he died inexplicably. We're going to get into that a little bit later. There's a lot of hit or miss details in this that you got to make your own 2 cents about it. I'm just going to tell you about it. Intelligence on the Soviets using ESP was revealed to us through our own spying on them. It made the US government want to do the same, since this was the Cold War. That's what we did. We did it in space. We're going to do it with ESP. It's an intellectual battle. Russell Targ, like I said, was a blind magician who worked on the production of the laser, and then they found him and saw he had some abilities and said, let's try this thing out. Let's try out this ESP crap that the Russians are doing. This was Russell's dream come true. There was fear that they'd lose funding of this because of the nature of the whole thing. It's a bunch of psychics working for the government. This seemed too good to be true, but they were told that this was to be at the utmost discretion. They couldn't tell anybody about it. It was far out. Ingo Swann was known as one of their best viewers. He was taken on to the project. He went on and found the manometer, which was dug underground, and drew a whole sketch of it. He was very talented in this remote viewing. This whole group of people were escorted to their research lab by, they all had guards. Is ESP possible after all? They were starting to get a little bit more information. They were actually figuring stuff out with the process. It was seeming to be helpful to the government. The government did want to prove this to be nonsense because there's no formal basis of science on it. The CIA wanted to know exactly how close they could get something. Does the distance matter? What is the ends of this? How far can you see? What is it? Ingo Swann was able to predict some planet and how many rings it had. I think it was like Saturn, whatever planet has rings, before any astronomer. This is seen as a huge threat to the United States because if there's no distance where they could find something, the Russians could see whatever they had, the most top secret of secrets that they had. Soviets and their funding seemed to take this thing much more seriously than the United States did, which kind of made them want to fund the research a little more because tit for tat with the whole Cold War thing. Ingo Swann had put coordinates on a map, or they gave him coordinates on the map and wanted him to be able to tell what exactly is there.
Seems like a very hush-hush place, very military, and he drew how things were laid out.
The results came back so specific on paper that I was just like, I was kind of nonplussed.
He was able to sketch it, describe it with like 90% accuracy. Pat Price would get flashes of crime scenes when he was working. He seemed like a good fit for the program. He was a former policeman. The process needed to make sense to them, which it didn't, and I don't think it ever will. But there was a kidnapped woman where they wanted to view where she'd went, so they worked with the FBI, found the car that she was kidnapped in, but there were some mishaps in the whole investigation. She was where they said they were through remote viewing, but they weren't able to get to her. I think she was fine. They got all the details correct, but there was no cooperation until she was eventually found. Names were released from a leak with all of these people in the program, and nobody felt safe. They thought somebody was going to come and get them, and Pat Price was the ex-cop. He remote viewed a Russian facility. It was a research and development facility that had a beam that would shoot down spy planes intelligence from the US, so he was able to see that thing correctly. Pat Price was so successful that the CIA cut him out from the whole directive and decided to work with him directly one-on-one. He was reliable, had a background in police force, and had exceptional skills. Pat Price would then go on to view an underwater facility that was made to sabotage the US in some fashion, and a few days later he died. This is very mysterious. We aren't really sure what happened. They cremated him, and there was a couple mishaps with what happened to his actual body in the emergency room. It's super weird, super strange. I don't know what happened. We probably won't ever know, but did he know too much in one area? Did he view something he shouldn't have? But maybe he was telling the church some of the info on remote viewing. But this would be like killing a superhero. Like, why would they do that? He could do everything that they wanted. He's the cream of the crop. But then there's this weird stuff where an army recruiter said he's alive. So that's all over the place. Who knows? The SRI, Stanford Research Institution, was still going on even after the CIA decided to drop them. Joe McMoneagle worked with this whole group and even got a Legion of Merit, which is a super high award you can get from the Army. He decided to speak out when the CIA denigrated the program, said it wasn't real, it has no merit, there was no reason it should have been going on. And Russell Targ noted that he's one of the most psychic people he's met. Joe McMoneagle had pinpointed a Russian submarine. It was the most innovative sub ever built, the TKO-89. The operation of this whole institute was built on year-to-year success, so if they kept giving good information to the government, they'd keep on giving them funding. Robert Gates was the one who said that this was all nonsense. Robert Gates is bullshitting. What was all of this approval for? What was the award that Joe McMoneagle was given for? What was he doing? Like, there's nothing else he could have been doing than this program. Why did he give it so much crap? There was a woman that was a medium, and President Carter had actually acknowledged this fact that she was a medium and found a plane that was crashed.
The director of the CIA heard about a woman in California that was a medium or something. I don't know the title for. And she gave him the latitude and longitude of the plane's whereabouts. We located the plane where she said it was. Now, that's the only time that I have ever experienced something that was inexplicable.
The new director of research and development came in and said that all of this was crap and it's even demonic. He wanted nothing to do with it. I'm fairly certain that it's true, but I have to try it out to know if it is, which I did. The process of remote viewing goes a little bit like this. You and a quote-unquote instructor are facing each other. The instructor has a concealed item, a concealed location, or something that you just wouldn't know. And the instructor is going to keep urging you to describe it with more and more detail. So you have to describe how it feels, how it looks, and this is just you with your eyes closed, and you're trying to perceive what the instructor has in front of them. You start to piece these thoughts and feelings that you're getting to eventually create a picture. It's not going to look very good in the beginning, but once you get more experience with it, you'll start to understand it and get better pictures. In Russia, you remember they're doing the same thing that we were doing. They're actually wants to catapult our interest into it. And this introduced me to Lori Wilson, who introduced me to this whole thing. I learned this through a podcast she was in. So Neil Apollo, the man on the moon, he said that consciousness is ever evolving, and I think that's where this is going. This is consciousness evolving. We're all connected, better said by Edgar Mitchell. There's no separation. Russell Targ was invited to be in a TED Talk, which was later taken down because it's controversial, I guess. He would have been on to keep his program on TED Talk. He said it would damage everybody else's reputation because it wasn't a foundational science, which I kind of understand, but still, there's facts and evidence. So as we know, in the TED Talk, he talks about how he was in the program, where he started from, being a magician, but he also said that proof is evidence so strong that you can't deny it. There is proof for this, so can you deny it? This whole thing is a well-known topic that was delved into by the Buddhists and other religions. I know that in the Bible, maybe I heard Jesus did remote viewing. He did some psychic stuff. It's now widely accepted by physicians. This whole realm of remote viewing is where science meets the human mind, the uncharted territories of the human mind. This journey is mysterious, intriguing, and open-ended. From Cold War projects like Stargate to the figures like Russell Targ, our exploration has found an endless, open-ended world that is beyond our boundaries of understanding. Lori Wilson has a passion to teach and give people information on this God-given ability. There's more questions than answers now, but therein lies the beauty of this whole thing. Thank you for joining me on this whole journey. Remember that this quest for knowledge is boundless, and it's just the beginning of a deeper understanding. Thank you, and subscribe, like, I'm out.